Whoa, 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 at the break of the rising dawn, as the night's last shadows are gone, a spark ignites across the sky. Truth comes rolling in high. Hear the drum of the unheard. Feel the power of the word. We rise from dark to light, cut through the lies, ignite. Truth breaking through the noise, justice in our voice. From the silence to the fight. This is dawn and justice, let's rise. Across the wire, through the storm, we won't conform, we won't be warned. Every voice, every sign, we draw the waking line. Screens light up, the message clear. No more running, no more fear. From the ashes, from the night, we carry forward burning light. Dark to light, night to dawn. Truth lives on. We press on. We rise from dark to light, cut through the lies, ignite. Truth breaking through the noise, justice in our voice. From the silence to the fight, we stand together in the light. This is dawning justice, let's rise. This is dawning justice, let's rise.
Good morning, everyone. I am Josh the Justice Cometh, and this is Dawning Justice. This is your news morning wrap up show with some digs and drops in it. And I am so glad to be back in the seat this morning. Yesterday, I was having a little bit of trouble. For those that you watch me a lot, my daughter is fixing to have our eighth grandbaby. Not her eighth baby, but our eighth grandbaby. And she called the other day and she said, "Can you come lay some flooring for me in my kitchen?" And I'm not going to say no. And so I've spent the last 2 days, and I was over there till almost 1 o'clock in the morning the day before last, and just sitting in the floor and everything killed my back. And then I had to go back yesterday morning to do the trim and the finish up, and I was just spent last night. But we still pulled through for tracing justice last night. We had our Maha episode. So if you missed that, make sure that you go back and check that one out. Guys, hold on just a second. My volume is like blowing me out this morning. I think I had it turned up. Did everybody like the intro? Because Freedom Fire 1776 made that intro for us, and I saw it the other day, and I'd been so busy, I got to watch it, and then that was it. I told her, thank you, it was great, and she was like, "Well, I was just getting concerned because I hadn't heard a lot from you." I'm like, "Well, I have been busy, busy, busy." And so and you can also tell that I haven't been on X a lot because again, I've been on the floor and I've been laying flooring. So I am so glad to be back though. It looks like the Rumble chat is already rumbling out there, and we've got I had some trouble with my X feed this morning for whatever reason. I couldn't get it to go live. So that's why you kind of missed like half of that intro coming in, because I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? My X peeps. So, but I do see my X peeps falling in, and we're over on YouTube as well live, and we're on Pilled and Facebook. So guys, if you're in my Rumble chat, you know what to do. Even if you're watching on TV like Gammy is, okay, there's a little option even on your TV that you can give us that thumbs up. I would very much appreciate that. And if you can, if you're on your computer, laptop, whatever, and you're not driving, that you give me that little repost as well. And if you're over on YouTube, make sure you're giving us that thumbs up too on the way in to sit down and watch Dawning Justice. If you're on X, guys, you know what to do on X. Give me that heart. Give me that repost. I very much appreciate that. And if you're over in Facebook, give me that heart and share out my show, to your feed and your family. I don't do as much Q stuff on this show because I like to deliver the news to everybody, but we do occasionally have I go over some drops and stuff like that. But guys, I'm just going to be honest with you. There's been so much news going on right now. I feel like that is more important for to get the news to you than anything else, because again, that is the mission. So guys, if you're also wondering where to find us at, make sure that you're going to truthermedia.com and you're taking a look at our show schedule. You can see AJP Army there for my late night peeps that want to check into night shift. Make sure you're checking him out at 11 p.m. Eastern. And also, you're going to have all of our basically stations on there. You've got Tracing Justice, then you've got Real AF Patriot, Pepe on the Block, which is going to be returning probably in about a month or so. You've got It's Biblical, and there's AJP's channel, and the People's Ledger, the Receipt Room, and those are two fantastic shows that are going to be coming up in our lineup tonight, starting at 6 and then running all the way to 10 on those two shows. So make sure you're checking out truthermedia.com. And you can also find all of our social links for all of us that are in Truther Media at truthermedia.com. So guys, let's see what else we have got. I'm kind of out of the groove, if you know what I mean, because I've been I take a muscle relaxer, and I'm just kind of trying to get back into the swing of things here. So let's go through the chat real quick. So I'm going to go through my X chat first. So we got YeForce checking in. He is one of our Truther Media mod and team over there. So guys, make sure you're staying in line, because Yeet's going to get you. If you get out of line in my chat, he's going to get you. I'm just kidding. And Cindy Rocks 260 checking in. Wendy, Nabil, let's see, Mama Bear 73, good morning. Gamey said, love the intro. Man, I do too, man. Again, I know that I didn't get to say a lot to Freedom Fire the other day because I've been so busy, but I do see that you just checked in Freedom Fire, so thank you so much for that. Tracy was watching it. We had just climbed into bed last night, and I said, you got to watch this. I haven't even showed it to you. You got to watch it. And she was like, that is awesome, because we're kind of going through a rebranding of sorts. We're going away from the dark and mysterious, dark to light. So we're trying to kind of changing things around on our website and things like that too. So I went to Freedom Fire before I started up Dawning Justice again. I said, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you make me a new intro vid? And she was like, yeah, sure. So she also wrote the song for the new Dawning Justice video. And just, you know what, guys? I'm so proud of it. I want to show it again. Okay, I know that some of you guys may have missed a little bit of it coming in and checking in late, but I do want to show it because I'm very, very proud of it. So let's watch this new intro that Freedom Fire 1776 made us.
Whoa, 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 at the break of the rising dawn, as the night slash shadows are gone, a spark ignites across the sky. Truth comes rolling in high. Hear the drum of the unheard. Feel the power of the word. We rise from dark to light, cut through the lies ignite. Truth breaking through the noise, justice in our voice. From the silence to the fight. This is dawn and justice, let's rise. Across the wire, through the storm, we won't conform, we won't be warned. Every voice, every sign, we draw the waking line. Screens light up, the message clear. No more running, no more fear. From the ashes, from the night, we carry forward burning light. Dark to light, night to dawn. Truth lives on. We press on. We rise from dark to light, cut through the lies ignite. Truth breaking through the noise, justice in our voice. From the silence to the fight, we stand together in the light. This is dawning justice, let's rise. This is dawning justice, let's rise.
I love it. Thank you, Freedom Fire. I very, very much appreciate that. I know that that our Tracing Justice team is over there working on a new intro, and I believe they've already got the new song done for Tracing Justice. So I'm excited to see that. So let's go back to our X chat. So we got again Gamey coming in, checking in. She's going to be watching on her big screen this morning. I'm assuming through the Rumble app. And let's see here. Lindsay Harrison, good morning. Good morning. Wendy, good morning. I think I already called you out, but I want to call you out twice. So good morning, Wendy. Mr. Signal Over Noise checking in. And that is Eric. That's going to be Mimi's husband. And he always makes this joke. He said, I'm the husband. I'm just the husband. No, you're more than just the husband. You are Eric. And man, I want to tell you one thing. You're a phenomenal human being. So I see a lot of myself in you, and you're just an amazing human being. So thank you for being my friend, sir. And let's see here. Who else we got? Kelly B checking in. Good morning, family. And Cold Heart 1987 with the repost. And Jack, hello, Josh. Man, Jack, I really appreciate you checking in. I see you all over my X feeds So thank you for checking in this morning. And there is Seth. We had such an incredible show last night with the people from Pet Club 24/7 going over all of those products, a little Maha. And I believe Seth, I'm going to be gone next Thursday. So I'm not going to be doing Tracing Justice, but Tracing Justice will be on the air, and Seth Larrabee will be hosting Tracing Justice because my son is going to be graduating high school next Thursday, and his graduation's going on then. So, yeah, Mr. Signal Illinois, back at you. Love you, brother, man. Love you too, man. Freedom Fire 1776 checking in. Lindsay Harrison again checking in. And let's see here. Cindy Rocks 260 said, yeah, I'm here listening. I'm definitely going to check out those pet products today. Absolutely. And let's hop on over. Man, my other chats like Pilled and YouTube. And let's see, we got Tracy coming in over there in Facebook. So thank you, Tracy, for giving us that heart over there. And let's go through my Rumble chat real quick. So, first one checking in. It's always kind of like a battle, okay, to see who's going to kind of come in and check in first into the Rumble chat. They start chatting away before I'm even live over there on Rumble. So Debbie V57 checks in and says, good morning. Hoping and praying your back is a little bit better today. It is. It is much better. Still a little sore, but we're going to continue on. Brouhaha over in our little fam chat that we have over there on X. He said, dude, you better rub some dirt on it because we need you back in the fight. So I was like, yep. I said, you're exactly right. So Nana2112 says, good morning. And Tense15, good morning. And she said, Josh, what a great show last night. Ha. Absolutely. And let's see who else we got checking in here. My gosh, guys, you all were chatting away. Yeet Force is double dipping over there. Okay, I want to make an apology real quick. So, my friend, a Dutch Rumbler, I finally figured it out because, guys, you know I'm the worst about pronouncing names and things like that. So, a Dutch Crumbler checking in saying, wonderful people. So, thank you so much for your support from across the pond over there. And let's see who else we got check in. Jeff82ABN saying, just stopping in to say good morning. I'm assuming they're probably on their way to work or something like that. Yeah, Tens15 says, what an intro. I love it. Alanita 711, good morning. And USAID paid, part of the Truther Media team, mod team over there. So thank you so much for helping us out. Kelly B910 checking in. And let's see here. Gamey loves double dipping over there too. So let's see who else. Cardius Maximus, one of our Truther Media podcasters over there, says, good morning, friends. I need an Elmo kicking his feet on the toilet sticker. Okay. Okay. So let's see here. Seth Larrabee checking in over there on Rumble as well too. And let's see here. Make sure I haven't missed anybody that's chatting away over here. Oh my gosh. City Mouse checking in saying congratulations. And I think that we are all caught up. I think so. Yeah, because my pill.net people over there, I'm still kind of catching on a little bit over there. It's they've got a lot of shows going over there on pill.net, so it's kind of hard to get a little bit of traction over there. But we're trying. We are trying, and we're trying to stay consistent with it. So if you're watching us from pill.net, make sure you give me that red pill and give me that repost as well. All right, so guys, what we're going to do, we always start out with a couple of things in our show. If you're just joining us for the first time, we put God in our focus because we got to get our day started off right. If we get our day going straight into the news, we have completely missed the point of giving a little bit of honor to God, our Creator. So we have partnered with a company called Hunter's Blend Coffee. And Mike and the guys over there at Hunter's Blend Coffee are very, Christian patriots. So we like to take just a little bit of a coffee break before we go into our daily devotional, because I've got one from Seth coming up. So let's watch this coffee break with Mike and the gang.
Well, a customer of ours, Tom Lemke, wrote a book, and he was kind enough to share it with us. It's called Thank You, Jesus. It's 365 daily prayers of gratitude, and it's a great tool I've been using. It's a little short thing you can do in the morning to just kind of get your head on right for the day, but it's amazing how God can speak to us through something that was written weeks and months, years ago, but it's pertinent for today. Like this from the other day. For I know the plans I have for you. This was January 13th. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. Plans for peace and not for evil, to give you hope and a future. That's Jeremiah 29:11. And the prayer is, Dear Jesus, I'm grateful that you hold my future in your hands. Even when life feels uncertain, your plans are never random or cruel. You weave peace and purpose into every detail, reminding me that hope is never lost when you're the author of the story. Thank you for seeing what I can't, for the seasons of waiting that build trust and the detours that bring unexpected blessings. You are faithful to lead me toward good, even when I don't see the full picture. May gratitude for your divine plan give me courage to walk forward with confidence and peace. Thank you, Jesus. Amen. Then in the margin I wrote, I needed this, Lord. Welcome to the Great Awakening.
Thank you, Mike, for that small coffee break there. So, guys, if you want to start drinking some coffee that's actually supporting our movement, go to dawningcoffee.com. And when you check out, make sure you use my promo code TracingJustice, all one word, to receive 10% off of your first order. So go check out those guys over there. They have awesome, awesome products. Okay, so let's get in to the real, just like I said that the other day, the real meat and potatoes of everything. And let's put a little honor towards God. So Seth Larrabee comes in yesterday. If you don't know, Seth had a birthday yesterday. And we were so fortunate to catch him on his birthday and having him on Tracing Justice last night. So let's read over this devotional. Seth says, another birthday, another year gone, another year closer to standing before the King. And honestly, the older I get, the less I care about chasing the world's definition of success, and more I care about finishing this race faithfully. Because this life was never meant to be a permanent vacation for the Christian. It's a training ground. It's refinement. It's preparation. It's where God teaches us how to walk in obedience when it's hard, how to love when it hurts, how to forgive when pride wants revenge, how to stay faithful when the world rewards compromise. Jesus never called us to simply admire him. He called us to follow him. You shall love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and with all of your mind. And that was Matthew 22:37. And it's the second, it's like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. And that was Matthew 22:39. That doesn't just mean loving the easy people. It means family, friends, neighbors, the stranger, the person who misunderstood you, the person who hurt you, even your enemies. That's a hard one to deal with, guys, because I'm going to tell you one thing. There's some people in this movement, you know, I don't know if I'd help them or not, but you know what? I need to start going that way. That kind of love is impossible without cross-changing the human heart. And maybe that's one of the biggest lessons birthdays are supposed to teach us. Life is short. Time is moving. And what matters most is not how much we accumulated, but how much we surrendered to God while we were here. Not perfection, not fame, not comfort, not applause, faithfulness. The older I get, the more I realize every conversation matters. Every act of kindness matters. Every moment of obedience matters. Every soul matters. Because we are not just passing time here. We're being shaped for eternity. And whatever you do, do it heartily, as to the Lord and not to men. And that's Colossians 3:23. So today on my birthday, my prayer is simple. Lord, teach me to love deeper, serve better, forgive faster, walk humbly, stand courageously, speak truth lovingly, and finish faithfully. Amen. Because at the end of this mission, I don't want to hear that I've built an impressive life. I want to hear, well done, good and faithful servant. And that's Matthew 25:23. If you're reading this today, don't waste the years God has given you chasing things that you cannot follow you into eternity. Love boldly, serve faithfully, walk closely with Christ, and become the kind of person that reflects Jesus more and more with every passing year. Because this life is temporary. But for whatever we do in Christ, echoes forever. You know, being a Christian is so incredibly difficult. It's so easy to just kind of live life however you want to live it and do whatever you want to do. And, go out. If you want to go out and use drugs, go out and use drugs. You want to go out and get drunk all the time, you go out and get drunk all the time. You know, one of the hardest things that I have come to grips with since I've rededicated my life to Christ is forgiveness and forgiveness on people. And what's the hardest thing is that forgiveness of people whenever they're still wronging you. Still wronging you. But forgiveness is one of those things that we must do, not just for that person. You have to remember that forgiveness is not always about forgiving that person for them. It's forgiving that person for you. And here's what I mean by that. So let's say an ex wronged you, okay, for whatever reason, like baby mama wronged you and maybe took you to court, or somebody come up and punched you in the face and y'all got into a fight or whatever the case may be. You're going to wake up every day with resentment in your heart and revenge in your heart and not good thoughts in your mind, okay? So what does that do? That takes precedence in your life. It piles on anxiety. It piles on worry. It piles on hate. So you start focusing on those things. And as you focus on that, you grow further and further apart from the Lord. So forgiveness is not just about forgiving that one person. Forgiveness is about release. Forgiveness is about freedom. Seth Larrabee says, if you do not forgive others, your Father in heaven will... Listen. If you do not forgive others, your Father in heaven will not forgive you. Hard command from Jesus, but very, very real. And that's true because we are all sinners. I'm not better than Seth. I'm not better than a Dutch rumbler. I'm not better than Nana 2112. Okay, I sin. Okay, now Tracy says we're not sinless, but we need to sin less. That's her famous saying that she tells a lot of people. You know, I'm not better than Cindy Rocks 260. I am not better than Gammy Love. um, so I'm just saying, guys, consider it. It's hard sometimes. Sometimes you have to tell the Lord, reach down in me and take this out of me because I can't lay it at your feet right yet. And forgiveness is not a one and done thing. Forgiveness is a daily thing. You might have to forgive a person 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 times. I don't know, whatever the case may be. But it's a daily thing. All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and get into some news. There is so much news happening right now. So first up, Jesse Waters says, breaking. Trump's deputy chief of staff says Cuba is in big trouble. Stephen said, it is our last outpost of communism. It is the last outpost of the Cold War. Finally, accountability is coming for Castro.
Well, what's going on in Cuba today, Jesse, is that long-awaited justice is being set in motion for the Americans who were viciously and brutally murdered by the Castro regime, by this communist outpost 90 miles off the shores of the United States of America. Many Americans may not realize this history. You had American planes, civilian planes, unarmed, running humanitarian missions in international waters, and Raul Castro and the Cuban communist military ordered them shot from the sky, murdering our American brothers. And now today, finally, accountability is coming for Castro. And a very important point about Cuba, which many Americans also may not realize but need to know. Cuba, positioned just a 45-minute flight from American shores, has been a staging ground for America's adversaries for decades. It is the last outpost of communism. It is the last outpost of the Cold War. American presidents for generations have tried to deal with the problem, the threat of this communist foothold just miles away from America's shores. And President Trump, through his leadership and his vision, has brought us closer than ever to the day when Cuba will be free and when Cuba will no longer be a threat to America, but Cuba will be a friend and partner to America, which is essential for our national security.
Did you hear that? One of the last outposts of communism. I believe wholeheartedly once we get things wrapped up and we get the peace agreement dealt with in Iran and everything's okay in Iran, I mean, Trump tells you exactly what his next move is going to be every single time. It's going to be Cuba. Cuba is coming into the picture. Their people are already begging for help in Cuba. So let's go to some financial news. Real AF Patriot says, too late, pal. See ya.
All right, the Federal Reserve is a day away now from a changing of the guard, with Kevin Warsh set to take over for Jerome Powell as chairman. The Wall Street Journal writing, quote, Kevin Warsh wants to remake the Fed. Here's what he is up against. The new chair's framework has been consistent for 2 decades. The question now is how much of it his colleagues will accept.
Kevin Warsh is going to wash the Fed. And just like I've told you before, you know, a lot of my audience and everything out there believe that everything's going to happen with like the flip of the switch, and that we're going to have this whole brand new financial system, and it's going to happen in like 12-hour period. Guys, it doesn't happen that way. Let's step back into real life, okay? Let's step back into real life and step out of the movie theater real quick and look at how Trump operates. Trump operates by, he uses their own playbook against him. Infiltration. You get in there and then you start dismantling everything piece by piece by piece. I would say, if this is just my guess, okay, I would just say that if the Fed is going to be completely dismantled, I'd say you're going to see it over the next couple of years. And in that, you're going to see the things like the IRS slowly fade away, okay? Trump is not just going to come down into the IRS building and say, the IRS is no more, see you later. He's going to systematically destroy that system, which he's already started doing. That's the way Trump operates. And we know, reports President Trump's Iran deal plus China trip setting up massive bullish chain reaction. Inflation is dropping. The Fed will have no choice but to cut rates. When the Hormuz stabilizes, energy premiums collapse, inflation unwinds across shipping, manufacturing, food, and logistics. This unlocks liquidity, accelerates AI and infrastructure, and resets the entire market mood almost overnight. The surface narrative is geopolitical, but underneath it, everything, energy, currency, trade, elections, capital flows, is aligning to the same direction at once. The people positioned before this happens will never have to work again. The deal is coming. Get ready. And let's see what LT has to say from And We Know.
Inflation drops. Warsh has no choice but to cut rates. And this is the most bullish chain reaction in modern financial history, sitting behind one deal, one signature, one moment. And now Trump says oil is about to crash. Every single domino is lined up. The people who are positioned before this happens will never have to work again. People who wait for confirmation will spend the rest of their lives explaining why they missed it. Are you positioned? Because the deal is coming, and when it lands, everything moves at once. Trump's going to China, allowing Xi space to preserve internal stability, save face, then suddenly signaling that Iran deal and lower oil at the exact moment global markets are starving for rate relief is not random sequencing. When Trump allows Hormuz to stabilize, yes, we are in control, and energy premiums collapse, inflation unwinds across shipping, manufacturing, food, and logistics faster than central banks projected, which forces the rate environment to shift, unlocks liquidity, accelerates AI and infrastructure expansion, resets the entire market mood almost overnight. The surface narrative looks geopolitical, but underneath it, the energy, currency, trade, elections, and capital flow layers all begin moving together in the same direction at once.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Trump reset. And it's going to go into overdrive when the Iran situation gets resolved. Kevin Warsh is going to come in and he's going to lower rates. I would probably say in the next couple of weeks we'll see a rate decrease. Because the interest rates drive so much of our economy. When interest rates are high, payments go up. People can't finance things. People can't build housing. Jobs decline. It is, our interest rates are tied so much to the economy. So it's going to be a multi-pronged effect. So when the energy costs start coming down, and with the interest rate cuts, it's going to supercharge our economy. I honestly believe that we're going to see gas in a very, very quick fashion go back to like the $1.49, $1.50, $1.60s. I don't think it's going to take a long time to come down. It's going to take some time, but it's not going to take a long time to come down. You have to understand something. These companies that are setting all these prices with food, with oil, things like that, they're not going to give President Trump a win unless they absolutely have to. A Dutch crumbler, yeah, I seriously hope you guys get some relief soon. Yeah, I have a 2022 Honda Hybrid Accord that I drive for work every day. And it cost me $40 to fill it up yesterday. It has a 10-gallon tank, guys. Yeah, Tense 15 says short-term pain for long-term gain. Absolutely. That's why he keeps saying, guys, don't be a panicking. The resets take a little bit of time. But we've seen the results from this reset already. We've seen the global infrastructure on oil completely reset itself. We are one of the number one exports of oil right now. Hey, Mental Health 1974. Thank you I have seen you in AJP's chat. Thank you for giving us a check over here. I very, very much appreciate that. And I saw some other new JW Mullet. Smash that thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you so very much. And let's see here. Who else? I saw some other people checking in here that I have never seen before. So let me see if I can find them. Let's see here. I'm just going to call you Spirals. So, Spirals, thank you for checking in over there on X. And let's see here. I could have swore. Okay, Glenn is also coming in over there on YouTube as well. And if you say so, 1010 over there on YouTube says, my daughter watches you all the time, new here on YouTube. So, thank you so much for checking us out over there. And Laddie Addy comes in with a $10 Rumble rant, says, listen when Trump says to look at something. He said to check out construction on Lafayette Avenue. Use Google Earth. I see a ball. B-A-A-L. Double meaning, think Wilson, Tom Hanks, McDonald's drops. Lots more. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, Mental Health is checking in saying it's a little over $3 a gallon for regular unleaded here in Omaha, Nebraska. It is at $4 a gallon here in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. So it's it's getting up there. It is getting up there. All right, so let's keep moving on because we've got a lot of news to cover, guys. Real AF Patriot says, the fact that all Democrats are whining about Massey lets you know exactly why he needed to go. The fact that we have conservatives parroting the same talking points as these Democrats lets you know exactly who they really are. Don't be gaslit by paid operatives. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them, no matter who they are. I'm going to say this one quick thing. I've seen a lot of our so-called friends coming out saying, oh, we're losing the Republican Party. Massey is this huge conservative. I thought people in our movement actually done some digging. That actually knew where this money was coming from for Massey. A lot of it, hey, guess what? It's coming from the mullahs. It's coming from Iran. Guys, you got to do some digging into some of these politicians. You really do, because, and you also need to look at their voting record on the Trump agenda. That is a key indicator. That is such a key indicator, because when Trump really needs these people to vote for the MAGA agenda, They come up with these BS reasons and they side with the Democrats. Did you know that Thomas Massey votes with the Democrats over 25% of the time? Did you know that? So you've got people in our own movement with this huge last name, this family name. Listen, guys, I'm just going to tell you right now, I don't give a crap what your family name is in this movement. If you're going against Trump, you ain't my friend. If you're out there and your family and your accomplices and whatever is consistently pushing messages against the Trump agenda, you ain't my friend. Infiltration, not invasion. I support that man right there, and I worship God. I'm not loyal to a family name. I support my president, and I worship God. If you're outing yourself right now, and all of your family out there and your girlfriends and everything like that is coming out against Trump and saying, Thomas Massey, this is the end of the Republican Party. We need to form a new party. I don't care what you've done for this movement, because now you're turning against Trump at the most inopportune time when he needs the most support. Money does some weird things to people. Power does some weird things to people. You got people positioning themselves to try to take over this Republican Party in 2028. So the way they're doing that is throwing little barbs at Trump. They said, oh, I've always supported Trump. Well, you ain't now. And your family ain't now. So guess what? I ain't supporting you, because you don't support that man right there. Now, I'm just reading a comment. Yeah, Spiral says, getting called an Israeli or Zionist supporter for being happy that Massey lost. They have no clue. Absolutely, they don't have any clue. It's because they don't do any research. They just listen to all these talking heads out there going, oh, about Massey. I'm going to get off my soapbox now. All right, so let's move on. Gunther says, Representative Tim Burchett just stormed out of the committee in fury, rightfully so. A backroom deal was cut to let Democrats control what we do. The rhinos are selling out behind closed doors again, handing power back to the same Democrats the American people just crushed. Tim Burchett is one of the few with the spine to call it out and walk. No more secret deals. No more caving. No more weak leadership.
Mr. Chairman, could I say something at this point, or do I need to wait?
Yeah, you can go ahead. I'll yield to you.
Okay. I realize what's going on here, and I realize that, when you're not sitting at the table, that you're not heard, and I realize the deal has already been cut. But I want to warn our party. We're in the majority, and we're not acting like it. And we'll be in the minority once again because of this kind of activity. And I'm disgusted that both sides of the aisle, that we're not allowed to, deals have been cut. And I think that's wrong. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We're finding out more and more about our own Republican Party because they're making backdoor deals to, guess what? Not push the Trump agenda. They don't want to come on camera and say, well, we don't want to vote for this because blah, 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 blah. They're not going to do that. Evil loves to operate in darkness. So what do? They close the doors. They all have their little uniparty meetings. The Democrats and the rhinos and everybody that's against Trump secretly come together and they make these backdoor deals. That's why nothing is getting done in Congress, people, because guess what? The swamp is deeper than you think it is. And even in our own movement, that swamp is deep out there. It's symbolic because, we're seeing all of this disclosure and things about our own party coming out. At the same time, the reflection pool got drained and now it's fixed. He's draining the swamp, people, right before our eyes. So let's move on. Mike Davis says, justice is coming for lawfare Democrats. I've said it on over 5,000 media hits. I know it's slower than we'd like, but it's coming. A special grand jury is seated in Fort Pierce. Subpoenas are going out. Joe DeGeneva is on board. Jason Redding, Quinotes, has 15 people on his team and growing. Comey, Brennan, Clapper, Blinken, Sullivan, Jack Smith. With all these lawfare Democrats did was Republic ending unacceptable and inexcusable. And they will be held accountable so this never happens again. Thank you for having me, Joe Talk Show. And let's watch. This is an extended clip, but I think it is very, very important that we check this thing out, okay?
When there's legal stuff to talk about, I always go to this guy. It's Mike Davis. He, of course, the founder of the Article 3 Project. Go to article3project.org. Mike, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm doing well, Joe, and thanks for having me back on.
I got to tell you something. You introduced me to Todd Blanche. We had a great conversation at CPAC. I just thought he was a really great guy. We had no idea at that moment that he was about to become the acting attorney general. It happened like 2 days later. And I got to tell you, man, he hit the ground running. This guy is now playing around. The stuff that he's done so far, he's even brought up, we're looking into fraud from the 2020 election. We're putting out an arrest warrant for Raul Castro, who's 94 years old, but he's still the strong man in Cuba. Just give me a grade on Todd Blanche so far. I think the guy's been phenomenal.
A+. Todd Blanche is the real deal. He was President Trump's personal attorney for many years, through many trials in many different venues and jurisdictions when the Biden and Obama Democrats waged their unprecedented Republican-ending lawfare against President Trump, his top aides, his allies. Todd Blanche is a former federal prosecutor up in New York. He is a very experienced lawyer. He has a great deal of trial experience, criminal experience, both on the prosecution side and the defense side, and most importantly, common sense. And he is bringing much needed accountability. And he is off to a very, very, very strong start.
Is there a fear, Mike, that should there be a changeover in the House of Representatives? I hope there won't be. I think the redistricting shows that we probably won't see a change, but people got to go and vote. If there's a change, the Oversight Committee goes to the left, the Judiciary Committee goes to the left. Does all of this stop? Should they take control of the House?
Well, these investigations and these prosecutions won't stop unless these House Democrats want to be charged with obstruction of justice. But if the Democrats take over the House and the Senate, they can make it painful in a lot of ways, calling up President Trump's lieutenants like Todd Blanche constantly for oversight, issuing subpoenas, and just generally obstructing and trying to grind to a halt President Trump's electoral mandates to secure our border and to prosecute violent criminals, which President Trump and his Justice Department team, led by Todd Blanche, has done very well.
You know, it's interesting. And by the way, it's MRDDMIA over on social media. It's Mike Davis, Article 3 Project founder, and he's the president. It's interesting watching the left telegraph exactly what they'll do should they get power. They're unafraid, Mike, to look at the camera and say, we're going to prosecute everybody who is even close to this administration again should we get the presidency after 2028. They've openly said, and every one of these hearings where somebody who's on the right is sitting before them, who won the 2020 election? They keep on doing that as if even questioning that is somehow a problem in the United States of America. And then you can somehow discredit them by saying, well, you said that Biden was inaugurated, but you didn't say that he won. Like that means something. You've got Jamie Raskin attacking 16-year-old kids from Texas, who, by the way, kicked Raskin's ass the other day in that hearing about our culture and Judeo-Christian values. The left is unafraid to say who they are, Mike, and they really think that they have got a chance to take power back. Are we waking up in this country to exactly what they want this country to look like? Should they get power on the left again?
Well, look what they did before. Look what they did to President Trump, his top aides, and his allies. They tried to bankrupt Trump for non-fraud, throw him in prison 4 times for non-crimes, throw him off the ballot unconstitutionally in Colorado and Maine and elsewhere, and take off his head when Biden intentionally underfunded Trump's Secret Service protection and almost got him killed twice. They went after President Trump's top aides like Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro, Jeff Clark. They jailed them. They're trying to disbar Jeff Clark. Look, Hakeem Jeffries said what their strategy is. He wants to bring relentless lawfare against Republicans to break our will. That's what Hakeem Jeffries just said, and that's what they will do if they win back the House, win back the Senate, win back the White House. It's going to be worse. The next time they have the trifecta, which they could after 2028 if Republicans, if conservatives, if right-thinking independents, and even Democrats vote the wrong way, you could see the Democrats nuke the legislative filibuster, which means lower the Senate's vote threshold for legislation from 60 votes to 50 votes plus the vice president, pack the Supreme Courts with 3, 4, 5, 6 left-wing justices, add Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, D.C. as states with up to 6, maybe more U.S. senators, give amnesty to all these illegals, tens of millions of illegals, flood our border with even more illegals. At that point, it is game over America. They will have destroyed our institutions, replaced our voters, and they will take away our God-given rights to speak, to worship, to associate, to protect ourselves. Everything is on the line in these elections. They're not pretending. Their masks are off. We saw this with the lawfare against President Trump, and they're promising what they're going to do to Trump and his supporters. Look, they went after parents and Christians, right? So these people are not liberal Democrats. These are Marxists who are going to destroy us.
It is Mike Davis, article3project.org. Go and support everything he does. Amazing organization that I want you to go and support. Many times people will tweet to me. They'll call the show. They'll go and comment on the podcast. Why isn't anybody behind bars yet? Why isn't okay? We're charging Comey with seashells now. Brennan is not a problem. Clapper, no issue. Fauci, he's just fine. Just down the list. Jack Smith, everybody's good. They're all riding off into the sunset. Mike, do you feel as though we might get somebody to actually pay the price for this bad behavior in trying to take down a president and trying to take down this country? We know the Russia thing was not only a hoax because I say so, it's provably fake. It just was. And all of that was set up by people like Antony Blinken. He's fine. He's just enjoying his retirement. Jake Sullivan. These are all bad people that did really bad things that harmed this country. Mike, long question short, why aren't they behind bars yet?
Justice is definitely coming. I know it's slower than we'd like. It took the Senate a long time to confirm Jason Redding Quinones, my good friend, who is the U.S. attorney down in the Southern District of Florida, including the Fort Pierce division, where Jack Smith ran his investigation, where they did the Mar-a-Lago raid. You saw a special grand jury just get set up in Fort Pierce and in Fort Lauderdale that started in January. They just got that impaneled, and you just saw that Joe DeGenova just got hired to go help Todd Blanche, the acting attorney general, and Jason Redding Quinones run this conspiracy investigation against these lawfare Democrats. You see the news reporting that subpoenas are going out. You see the ex post from Jason Redding Quinones that Joe is staffing up with. I think he has 15 people on his team right now and growing. I promise you, Joe, and to your listeners and to your viewers, justice is coming, because I'm going to make damn sure it happens. I've said this on over 5,000 media hits, including many, many, many media hits on your show, Joe, since the Mar-a-Lago raid, and I'm going to make it my mission at the Article 3 Project to make sure that justice is delivered against these lawfare Democrats, because what they did was republic ending. It's unacceptable, it's inexcusable, and these lawfare Democrats must be held accountable so this never happens again.
It is Mike Davis, MRDDMIA, over on social media. Go follow him. Go help out the Article 3 Project at the website article3project.org, and it's the number 3 when you go do that. Can you tell me why I keep seeing this low-life Hunter Biden on podcasts? The guy showed up with Candace Owens the other day. He was on some other podcast before that. Mike, it almost looks like he thinks he's going to run for something, and he's trying to reimagine his entire father's legacy, which was a legacy of disgustingness for 50-plus years, of misogyny for 50-plus years, and, of course, the 4 years in the White House, he just was eating ice cream, had no idea what was going on. Can you explain why this guy that you and I have laughed at for the past 5 years is suddenly out there and people are giving him the time of day?
I love it. As a
Do
Republican, as a conservative, as a Republican, as a partisan operative, I want Hunter Biden to be on every podcast, every TV show, every radio show between now and the next election and the election after that and the election after that. Please, Hunter, never go away.
So I should invite him on?
Yes, absolutely. Tell him we'll provide the hookers and blow if he shows up. Definitely invite on Hunter.
That's what it would take. Mike, what do you make of this ridiculous splintering on the right? Candace and Tucker and Megyn and Ben and others who are against each other or for each other. Who's the Antichrist? Trump is no good. He's being run by Israel. Hell, I was in favor of Massey losing the other day, and suddenly AIPAC is paying me. I had no idea. So what is this splintering? Because the left has no agenda. It has no plan whatsoever other than to watch our side decimate and kill each other. Why is that happening?
It's amazing. You see a lot of Middle Eastern money, whether it's Qatar or whatever slimy Middle Eastern country is spending a lot of money in America. And maybe, just maybe, these right-wing influencers who think everyone is on Israel's payroll, maybe they're on Qatar or another Middle Eastern country's payroll. I've taken nothing from Israel. I'll never take anything from Israel, but I am a strong supporter of Israel, an unapologetic and proud supporter of Israel, because I believe in Judeo-Christian values and traditions. I believe in the West, and all you have to do is go visit Israel. They have fences, armed guards, walls around the Jewish communities. They don't need those around the Muslim communities. That tells you all you need to know about the Middle East.
Yeah. It is Mike Davis. Mike, as we watch that happen, do you think it's going to have an adverse effect on this coming November? You can't really gauge it by X. X isn't real life. X is a bunch of pseudo intellectuals who think they're tough guys behind a keyboard. You know, I met plenty of these people at CPAC and whenever I'm out and about, and, you know, the ones that want to tell me what a piece of garbage I am want a selfie when they meet you in person. So is this real life at all, or is this just a way to get some sort of virality and engagement online?
Look, it's that there are people who are trying to go after a very fringe but intense part of these podcasts. I think it's disgusting. It's a cancer. The anti-Semitic right, the Islamist right, I think is just appalling. And just think of what would happen if we actually had these Islamist values in the West. Islamists have been destroying the West for centuries. They've been kidnapping, torturing, raping, enslaving Christians and Jews for centuries. How the hell can you stand on the side of these barbarians? I hope they're getting a very, very big paycheck, because I can't think of anything else that would explain how you would side with Islamists instead of America, the West, Christians, and Jews.
And, you know, and if you lean that way a bit already, I get it. But somebody like Tucker Carlson wasn't at all showing this tendency, and suddenly he's all in. He was mad at Trump for saying, you know, praise Allah or something on the Easter post on Truth. I'm going, really? And then he alleged that he was maybe the Antichrist, which doesn't make any sense either. So there better be a lot of money. I'm with you. If it's not huge bucks, I don't know why you're doing it. And I've never taken a dime from a nation state, and nor will I. I just happen to be a supporter of Judeo-Christian values, as you said. I believe that that's the promised land to those people that were chosen to go live in that land. I don't think that's very complicated. So it's very strange. It's Mike Davis, Article 3 Project. I'm jumping around a lot because when I have a chance to talk to you, there's so much on my brain. If they try to pack the court, what does that look like? And can we preemptively look at a constitutional amendment that says the Supreme Court is comprised of 9 people? No more, no less, it's 9. And why didn't the founding fathers put a number on it?
Well, the number has fluctuated over time. It's fluctuated from 6 justices. I think at one point we were at 10 justices. We've been at 7 justices. We've been at 9. I think we've been at 9 justices since 1869. The reason that the numbers used to fluctuate is because we didn't have the federal courts of appeals before. We had district courts, and then we had the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court justices would literally ride circuit, meaning they would get on their horses and ride around the country and hear cases, hear appeals. And so you had the number would fluctuate as the population changed, as our geography changed. But after we changed our federal court system, where we have the regional federal courts of appeals, along with specialty federal courts of appeals, we no longer have Supreme Court justices riding circuit. So that's why we've had 9 justices. FDR tried to pack the court. It hasn't been a real thing. It's really the Democrats weren't for court packing until President Trump transformed the Supreme Court in his first term and delivered the first constitutionalist majority in 90 years. And that's why Democrats now want to pack the court, because they disagree with the justices on the rulings. Let me give an example recently that's just so crazy, Joe. We have the Virginia Supreme Court that's a Democrats appointed judge on the Court of Appeals who became a Supreme Court justice in Virginia wrote the opinion, 4-3 opinion, that Virginia violated its state constitution when it illegally jammed through redistricting and tried to make it like 10 Democrats and 1 Republican with gerrymandered districts. The Supreme Court struck that down as violation of Virginia state constitution. They appealed to the Supreme Court, the Democrats did, and the Supreme Court, 9-0, decided to do nothing, which means let the Virginia Supreme Court decision stand. It was a correct decision. The 3 Democrat-appointed Justices Elena Kagan, Sonia Sotomayor, and Ketanji Brown Jackson, voted to do nothing with the 6 Republican-appointed justices. But somehow Hakeem Jeffries and these other goofball Democrats are saying that this is a right-wing white supremacist court that needs to be packed. Is Ketanji Brown Jackson right-wing or a white supremacist? I mean, it's just absurd on its face, but that's what the Democrats are doing now, because they are lunatics, they are Marxist, and they're trying to destroy our country, and they know the Supreme Court and the Senate is in their way.
Can you hear me now? So I cut that clip short a little bit, about a minute off of that, because we've got a lot of other news to get to. And guess what? The UFO new files just dropped. So what I'll probably end up doing is getting through with Dawning Justice, and then I'll give me about 5-10 minutes, and we'll be right back in the seat. And I think we're going to do a live dig show on these UFO files. And where's Andrea when you need her on this? Yeah, Sarah over there on Facebook said, mute jar. Another dollar goes into the mute jar. So I'm going to tell you what, at this point, with the mute jar, Tracy's going to be able to take that mute jar and go on a shopping spree. So let's keep moving on, guys, because again, like I said, we've got a lot of news going on right now. So Average Joe Patriot says the red wave Yeah, Joe, he has been going over the drops on his late night show, and he keeps telling everybody, he's like, guys, this red tsunami that Q talked about, it's this year. it's this year, guys. I know that a lot of us are afraid of losing this, but guys, I'm telling you what, the support for President Trump now is so incredibly high, and now we're going to be redrawing all these lines and everything in all these states. Yeah, mental health. And congratulations, I want to say something. Mental health recently celebrated 5 years clean and sober on, guess what? April 17th. Great day to be sober. So congratulations, mental, on that. But he's been, AJP's been saying, guys, that it's coming this year. And we're seeing steps taken by this administration to finally get our election secure. So let's keep on moving. Nick Sorter said President Trump just issued a stark warning about the possibility of Democrats taking Congress in November. Court packing to 21 Supreme Court judges, what we just heard about, terminating the filibuster, adding Democrat states, millions more pouring in through the border. If Democrats took control of Congress, let's just say took control of the country, I think that this country is finished. We have to keep Congress in November.
Go ahead. Thank you, Mr. President. So do you think if Democrats were to take control of Congress again, they would immediately begin the impeachment process?
I think if Democrats took control of the Congress, I think that, and let's say took control of the country, I think that this country's finished. These people are sick. They suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, but really they have bad policy. They have horrible policy. They cheat on elections. They get elected by cheating on elections. But you would have 2 states added. They'll terminate the filibuster immediately. Republicans should do that. They'll terminate the filibuster. You'll have Washington, D.C., and you'll have Puerto Rico as a state, which will be a disaster, which would be 4 Senate seats, tremendous numbers of electoral college votes. You will have that's really bad. But you'll have the destruction of our country. They want to go to 21 Supreme Court judges. That's their perfect number. They talk about 13, but they want to go to 21 Supreme Court judges. If they get in power, I think this country would be maybe finished. If I didn't win the election, I'll say this. We've become the hottest country anywhere in the world. We were a dead country 2 years ago. If I didn't win this election, we would have been a country that was essentially I don't even know that we would have been a country any longer. They were destroying our country. They were letting hundreds of thousands, millions of people pour through our southern border. Criminals, people from jails, people from mental institutions, drug dealers and drug addicts. They were sending everybody, countries were sending everybody that they didn't want. By the millions, 25 million people. If I didn't win this election, I believe our country would have been finished. Thank you very much, everyone.
That's why we have to vote, vote, vote. And we need to keep pushing against all these black pillars out there. These black pillars are telling everybody, don't vote. Don't vote. It don't do any good. I'm going to tell you one thing, people. There's an executive order and an emergency declaration coming. So if you did not know, the UFOs files, the new batch just dropped on X. Don't go anywhere. We still have some news to go over. The UFO files are not going anywhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Dawning Justice wrapped up by about 10. And then you'll have to give me about 5-10 minutes to transition to Tracing Justice. And we will start going through them live. And looks like I'm going to be podcasting for about 4 hours this morning. So, because I will have to cut it off at noon and hand it off to the real AF Patriot for keeping it real this afternoon for his show. So, speaking of the real AF Patriot, just gifted us 5 subscriptions to the Tracing Justice channel, and that was received by Mental Health, Major Canadian Patriot, Alanita 711, Debbie V57, and JJ White 63. So thank you so much, Steve, for giving that contribution to our channel. I very, very much appreciate that. All right. Eric Daughtery reports, holy smokes, Tom Homan just pummeled a Texas House Democrat candidate planning to lock up ICE agents for human trafficking, quote unquote. She's obviously an idiot. Bottom line is, bring it. I'm sick of these threats for some of these out-of-touch Democrats. We are enforcing the laws they enacted. We're not making this up, and we're going to keep enforcing the law. You can threaten lawsuits and arrest all you want. We're going to keep doing the job. Keep the threats going. We're going to keep pushing ahead. Try it all you want. You're not stopping what we're doing.
Human trafficking. There was an attack on ICE officers in Texas. She wants to lock them up alongside of Jewish men and women in this country. That's what it sounds like.
No, she's obviously an idiot. Bottom line is, bring it. I'm sick of the threats from some of these out-of-touch, Democrats. We're enforcing the laws they enacted. We're not making this up, and we're going to keep enforcing the law. You can threaten lawsuits and arrests all you want. We're going to keep doing the job. The American people voted President Trump, who I believe is one of the greatest presidents of my lifetime. We're going to keep doing what the American people put in the Oval Office to do, to enforce immigration law, especially against those who are public safety threats and national security threats. So keep the threats going. You're not going to stop us. We're going to keep pushing ahead. We got the most secure border in history of this nation because of President Trump's leadership. We have record arrests, record removals, and we got, if we're on the gas, you're going to see more, and we're going to keep doing it. So threat all you want. You're not stopping what we're doing.
Yeah, and
it's not stopping, and it's not going to ever stop. At least for the foreseeable future while Trump is president, it will continue. We will. I know that a lot of us that live in rural towns like mine, we want to see ICE come into our neighborhoods, but you have to remember we have to clean up the big cities first, because the big cities are the hub of operations. So Mental Health said it's 5-5 here. The justice comes. Oh, talking about my video. I'm testing out a new ripper because my other ripper that I was using went bye-bye for whatever reason. So if the video quality is kind of low on these, I'm going to try a little bit better on those. So we're not stopping deporting people. Cry all you want to. It ain't stopping. So let's keep on trucking. Eric Daughtery says the climate change scammers are panicking. Greg Gutfeld, after decades of screaming the planet is 6 minutes from extinction, the UN just walked back their doomsday models, as fake as Ilhan Omar's marriage. No more funding the climate myth.
After decades of screaming that the planet is 6 minutes away from extinction, the UN-backed climate change panel just rescinded its doomsday predictions. Turns out the so-called model they used for years, which projected massive sea level rises, global crop failures, and rapid melting of glaciers, was about as authentic as Ilhan Omar's marriage. True. The 99% of scientists who once claimed the debate was over changed their minds. And why not? Hell, climate change hasn't even killed Keith Richards. And if you hate polar bears, I got bad news. The only thing endangering them is RFK Jr.'s appetite. So America's fine, except, of course, we're poorer for it. Because we paid for the fake fear by the billions. So where did it go? We can see where most fraud is now, California, Minneapolis, Ohio. But what about this? Who got paid? Was it all the people who told us that by 2025 Miami would be Atlantis, children would bike to school in scuba gear, and Irish people would burst into flames at the beach? Al Gore got rich predicting the Earth would become a rotisserie chicken by now. But where is he now? Talk about extinct. The last time I saw him, I had a soul patch. Those were the days. In reality, climate hysteria has been the greatest white-collar scam since Columbia House offered me 12 CDs for a penny. NGOs, consultants, green energy middlemen, carbon credit traders, university departments, activists flying private to save the planet. Everybody got paid. Meanwhile, birds and whales get slaughtered by windmills. Fields are covered in solar panels, and we're forced to use paper straws as limp as my wrist during Pride Month. And our pockets were getting picked throughout. Remember the Inflation Reduction Act? The most misleading name since Magic Johnson. Nothing magical about that. They told us it was about lowering costs and helping families and fighting inflation when it was really about funneling billions into a massive scam. And no surprise, it caused inflation to shoot up like Nikki Sixx in a backstage porta potty. What a surprise. The thing that Democrats named to fix a problem made the problem worse. And when it was too late to do anything about it, old Joe admitted the con.
I'm proud to announce that my investments, through my investments, the most significant climate change law ever, and by the way, it is a $369 billion bill. It's called the, we should have named it what it was.
Yeah! You should have! But you didn't. You called a $400 billion slush fund for climate hucksterism an inflation bill. So you could get away with it. And if you were questioned about it, then you were called a Nazi. Which is why this UN reversal matters. Because it was never about morality. It was about money. They used fear of an imaginary problem to take your money and control everything in your life. Your gas stove, pickup truck, burger. Ever notice how the things they targeted the most are things uniquely American? I'm surprised I didn't make the list. Meanwhile, they had kids so scared that young people who started out looking like this suddenly started looking like this. A massive survey of 16 to 25-year-olds found that more than 50% reported feeling anxiety, helplessness, and guilt over climate change. It's the kind that affects their daily functioning. It's so bad I no longer hire them to walk on my back. So the UN is backing off after calling you a climate denier, as if questioning the faulty models is like denying the Holocaust. But no big apology, no refund check, no our bad. Because in the end, they got what they wanted. The motive wasn't the environment, it was greed. The instrument was fear. Once panic becomes an industry, there's no incentive to calm people down. That's why every Dem crisis now comes with a consultant, a nonprofit, a celebrity telethon, and a 900-page spending bill. Every apocalypse is a business model. And for the climate change scammers, no business had been hotter than the end of the world. What?
Crazy. I was sitting here laughing at some of this stuff, man. That's crazy. I just see Andrea just checked in and says, I just woke up. I mean, everybody can't be getting up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. I get it. Trust me, I get it. All right, so let's keep moving on here. Let's see here what we got next, guys. FEMA says fraud is never acceptable. FEMA disaster funds are for survivors, not personal gain. Stealing disaster relief funds is a crime, period. Under POTUS and VP and Secretary Mullins DHS, fraud will not be tolerated.
The Joe Biden auto pen administration made it way too easy for people to steal money from FEMA's COVID public assistance program.
They stole the FEMA money just like they stole it from a bank.
They openly took your tax dollars when the country was in a crisis.
$34 million COVID relief funds fraud scheme.
$16 million that was set aside for coronavirus relief.
They carelessly pushed out massive sums of money, and of course the result was waste, fraud, and abuse. Even elected public officials got caught dipping their hand in the taxpayer cookie jar.
A South Florida congresswoman indicted, accused of stealing millions of dollars in federal disaster funds and using the money to support her congressional campaign.
Nobody's getting away with it anymore. Thanks to changes made by President Trump and Secretary Mullen in March 2025, stricter rules on all payments and obligations were announced and took effect immediately. That means no more rubber stamps and no more auto pen. The Trump administration has already recovered over $8 billion last year by identifying excess funds, including from COVID-19 public assistance and other disaster programs, and expects to recover at least $2 billion this year.
Just think of it like this, guys. So our government says, oh, we need all this money for all these projects. Look at all these people that need help. We've got to help everybody. When about 20% of that money actually used is going towards people needing help, the rich get richer and the poor get poor. Not anymore. Trump, Doge, DHS, the vice president, they're all exposing it and stopping it all. Make It Make Sense is checking over there on YouTube, so welcome in. And RPR17 checking in on Rumble. And JPNO, good morning, says, hey, everyone. And I saw some other people. Yeah, Alexia checked in over there on X as well, too. So thank you. Cynthia, good morning. I see you over there on X, too. And Facebook, we've got Sarah Walter coming in over there. So thank you, guys. I very much appreciate your support. Speaking of COVID, Dr. Oz says, COVID convinced a lot of Americans that they could defraud the government, especially in healthcare. Today in Minnesota, we sent a clear message. American taxpayers will be defended. Fake healthcare institutions will be shut down. Fraudsters will be held accountable.
Jake, I took this job. The president offered it to me because he knows I love Medicaid. It is the ultimate payer of last resort. It helps people who have nothing else that can help them. Medicare takes care of our senior citizens in an elegant, beautiful way. It's a crown jewel of our system. We can save these programs. There's about $100 billion of money stolen from them. A lot of this by foreign governments, potentially, definitely foreign international crime syndicates. So we can get our arms around this. We took our eye off the ball. COVID convinced a lot of people they could defraud the federal government, especially in healthcare, which is probably 50% of the fraud, and get away with it. If we send a clear message, we're not tolerating it anymore, they go away. Look what happened to hospice care in California. And, this is a program where 1/3 of all of the hospice in the country is in L.A. 1/3. So we have already gone after 850 of these hospices, stopped paying them. Some have come back, a few, to say we were wrong. The vast majority just ran away. So we can win this battle, but we got to do it together. Part of the reason I came to Minnesota is to send a message to the people here. We care about you. We'll do this together, but it has to be done together in unison.
Absolutely. So, we're talking, let's talk about healthcare real quick. Whenever you are paying your healthcare premiums and everything, you're like, I remember back in the 90s when I worked for Home Depot. Do you know how much I paid for my really good healthcare coverage? $20 every 2 weeks. 20. So here's what's happened is you've got all this Medicare and Medicaid fraud, okay? And you've got all these illegals that have come across the border getting all this free health care. Somebody's got to pay for that. And guess who pays for it? You and me, through skyrocketing premiums, through skyrocketing cost in medications. We go to get an MRI, and they only cover 60% of it, so we're left with the 40% of the bill. While, guess what? If you're an illegal, it's all covered. Every single bit of it. Well, somebody's got to pay for that. It don't just happen. These hospitals don't just do it out of the kindness of their hearts. They're going to get their money somewhere. The wall is more than you realize. Remember that one? The wall is everything. So now that we're getting all of this fraud out of the Medicaid system and Medicare system and the hospice systems and this and this and this, it's going to eventually bring down cost on everything because people are not going to be getting all these free services. And the politicians and the left and the rhinos are not going to be able to line their pockets with all of this money that's fraudulently obtained. That money has to come from somewhere, and we are the ones that have to pay for it. Moving on. Breaking. Representative Annalena Paulina Luna says more subpoenas are coming in the Epstein investigation. Epstein prison guard got $5,000 cash days before Epstein's death. Never questioned. There was destruction of evidence.
One of the gate guards who also, during the initial investigations, law enforcement and the DOJ never followed up on was Tova Noel, who actually was the gate guard. And even days prior to Jeffrey Epstein's alleged suicide, she actually received $5,000 in cash and deposited it into her bank account. And that was never anything that was followed up regarding questioning. And so Chairman Comer asked her to come in. She refused to comply. And so he'll be having to issue a subpoena. I also had spoken with the chairman, and under protection in my official capacity, I actually named 4 women specifically that were given plea deals under the initial, proceedings in New York, the second proceedings in New York, where they testified against Ghislaine and Jeffrey. But those women, in my opinion, were complicit within the trafficking and should be looked at as potentially reach charged for human rights violations and civil rights statutes. And so he'll be calling them in to testify. But again, Bill Gates will be also coming in. And I just think that this entire thing, when you look at really the totality of what we have facts on hand, again, Fox News reported on this when we found out about it over a year and a half ago, but under the former deputy director of the FBI, allegedly there was destruction of evidence. And as you saw, there was never a complete actual investigation done on this. So I think that at best, we're still dealing with partial facts here.
Right. We say destruction of evidence. Was that an inside job? Was that a hack? Refresh my memory.
Well, so there was a hack that took place, and that was separate from the alleged destruction of evidence. The alleged destruction of evidence took place under, again, the former deputy director of the FBI. And I do believe that that was an inside job. And I say that because if you look at how this entire case was handled from the beginning, you can see, and you can talk to the victims, that it did appear that, A, powerful people were given special treatment, but also, two, that as soon as they could, Democrats, knowing that Jeffrey Epstein did have a close connection and proximity to the Clintons, et cetera, it was not in their invested interest at releasing any of this information, which is why they had actually worked against the victims in actually giving them the information. And so, look, this is information that I documented early on. I passed this information to the FBI. And again, you see that there was a massive hack done as well on the New York station where allegedly terabytes or massive amounts of information were deleted. So that's a problem, right?
Yeah, tell me the name of the deputy FBI director again who allegedly oversaw the destruction.
It was the former deputy director of the FBI under President Biden. Offhand, yeah.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much, Anna Paulina Luna. Keep us posted.
So much more to come out on all these Epstein files. Everybody is always saying, why are they releasing all these files? Ladies and gentlemen, it's not time for that yet. As you can see, we're going through disclosure time. There's a plan to it all. All this stuff is released drip by drip by drip by drip for a reason. Because 1 leads to 2, leads to 3, X leads to Y, leads to Z. Public education is occurring right before your eyes. And think that whenever there's a massive dump of stuff. Things get missed. Drip, drip, drip is more effective than a flood, but there is a flood coming. So we have to be patient. It's so hard being in this movement for so long because we know all of this stuff. We know it all. And it's just frustrating sitting in the seat sometimes every day and waiting on everybody else to catch up, but we have to let them catch up. The public sentiment has got to be on Trump's side. So when the massive moves do come down, everybody knows exactly what's going on. Yeah, Glenn says drip, drip, flood over there on YouTube. Yeah, Mental says over on Rumble, everything comes out when the time is right. And what have we seen? That when we get a release, that something else gets released and it's building off each other. So it's our job to educate everybody out there. That's our job. That's our job, people. The Ghost Army. Yeet says, yeah, it's maddening sometimes. But God provides patience for a reason. You were awakened for a reason early. God awakened you and removed the scales from your eyes early for a reason. Because he knew that you could endure all this. He knew you could sit through all of this. He knew that you could do the research to help others, to be that calm in the storm. That's what we do, people. All right, let's keep moving on. Eric Daughtery said, OMG. Trump SBA chief Kelly Loeffler just revealed that the Biden admin ordered their staff to ignore U.S. Treasury's do not pay list for grants, and 70% were flagged for fraud. That's how $14 billion got out the door so quickly. They ordered SBA employees to take 4 hours per applicant and not anymore. This is criminal. Then we come to find out that the GAO report that 70% of it was fraudulent. Now, we from day one of the SBA have come with a zero tolerance policy on fraud, and so we began cracking down on it right away. We've already sent out 1,000 demand letters demanding that those who took the money, now these were not loans, they were grants. These were the federal government writing checks of taxpayers' money. They legalized fraud. You remember all of those loans and grants that went out during COVID? You know, a lot of these politicians got grants and got these loans, and guess what? They never repaid them back.
This is actually policy for Democrats. This is the allowance of fraud. They knew what was happening. They knew that they were not going to check Treasury's do not pay list because 2/3 of them would have been flagged on the do not pay list. And then they ordered SBA employees to only take 4 hours per applicant and not take any more time and get those applications through. That's how $14 billion got out the door so quickly. And then we come to find out in the GAO report that 70% of it was fraudulent. Now, we, from day one at the SBA, have come in with a zero tolerance policy on fraud. And so we began cracking down on it right away. We've already sent out 1,000 demand letters demanding that those who took the money, now, these were not loans. These were grants. These were the federal government writing checks of taxpayer money to the folks you just named, not the small mom and pop theater in your local community that had to close due to COVID. These were rock stars. And so what we're doing is systematically going through, issuing demand letters and making sure taxpayers get the money back and that people are prosecuted. Not one single person was referred to Treasury during this entire Biden administration until we've come in, sent the letters over to Treasury, and then we're also going to be sending them to the DOJ. So fraudsters, be on notice. We're coming after you.
Good morning, Scout Mom over there on X. Thank you for checking into the chat over there. Julie Donuts comes in and says, none of this would have been exposed and no one would have been brought to justice if it wasn't for President Trump. Things are just getting started.
Just like all of you, I was shocked last December when I watched Nick Shirley's bombshell investigation of migrant fraud in Minnesota, which called attention to the now infamous Quality Learning Center instead of learning and other schemes across that state. This morning, the ringleader of the $250 million Feeding Our Future fraud scheme in Minnesota was sentenced in federal court to over 40 years in prison, bringing justice to the countless school children and families she had scammed. And on top of that, today, federal law enforcement launched a massive raid in Minneapolis. Across the city, agents have arrested 15 people for suspected fraud that amounted to $90 million. This includes two of the largest Medicaid fraud cases in Minnesota history, as well as the largest autism fraud scheme ever charged by the U.S. federal government. With this action, we're bringing justice to some of America's most vulnerable citizens and justice to the American taxpayer. In 2018, Minnesota tried to provide housing services for the homeless. They estimated that the cost of the program would be $2.5 million a year. By 2024, the program had exploded to $104 million annually, and almost all of it was because of fraud. As a result, the state had to shut down the program and can no longer provide those services to Americans in need. So we've got homeless veterans sleeping on the streets because fraudsters got rich. But it's not just the homeless who are the victims of these fraudsters. The victims in the cases announced by DOJ today also include disabled Americans who rely on community support to live full, independent lives, and citizens for whom defrauding such programs is literally a matter of life and death. In one of the most horrifying cases charged today, a recipient who needed 24-hour care was supposed to be receiving exactly that through a Minnesota Medicaid benefit program. But he received nothing. No care, no services, nothing for months on end. And then he went quiet. For 2 days, a neighbor tried to check on him, knocking on his apartment door. Nothing. Shortly after, he was found dead. One day before this man died, the fraudster in question had tried to bill for the non-existent services, the services that if they had been provided, this man might actually be with us today. To get rich off taxpayers, even at the cost of others' lives, just as that fraudster had for many months before. This kind of behavior is sickening. It's disgusting. It's an affront to all of us as Americans. And today we're saying clearly, no more. Our message is simple. If you're committing fraud, our task force will find you. We'll come after you, and we will not rest until justice is served. Don't defraud the American taxpayer. Don't get rich by trying to steal from them, or we are going to come after you until justice is served. That's our promise, and we're going to stick to it.
Man, I tell you what, people are throwing my name around a lot, aren't they? Justice is coming. Maybe that's why Trump put up my I have all the cards everywhere, and the White House did. I don't know. I'm just spitballing. Tracy checks in, says, it's crazy. It even has to be said. Parents should hold their children accountable or be held responsible themselves. This timeout generation, I tell you. Let's watch this quick clip.
Okay, so there's a new TikTok trend. You know, takeovers, going into restaurants, trashing places, meeting up, driving crazy. Listen, that's not going to work in Polk County. There's a whole lot of laws that not only hold juveniles responsible, adults responsible, but parents responsible for your children's conduct, to include juvenile curfews. Now, summer's coming, and we want the kids to have a good time and a fun time. They worked hard in the school this year. We don't want them to start next year with a criminal arrest record. But I'll guarantee you, they start cutting the fool, tearing up people's businesses, fighting in the streets, we're going to lock them up, all of them. And then, Mom and Daddy, if you don't hold them accountable personally, make sure they're home when they need to be, then we're going to come lock you up too, or charge you civilly, depending on which laws we can plug in. But parents, hold your children accountable so we don't have to. We will hold them accountable if you make us, but then we're going to hold you accountable too. Think about that, and then have a good summer.
You know, spare the rod, spoil the child. You know, a lot of these, I'm trying to get my words together here. Let me get my thoughts together just a second because I want to say this correctly. Okay. The degradation of the family unit, the unit. Okay. It all starts with that. It all starts with the US dollar. And let me tell you how this ties in, okay? You got to go to this 40,000 foot view on this, okay? So if you wanted it, let's say in 1913, and say, I want to take apart the family unit. What do I need to do? You know, first off, we're going to stop teaching about God in school. That's got to go. Got to go. That's the first thing I would do. The second thing I would do is to be like, I need to crush everybody with inflation. So all these one-income households have to go to a two-income household. And both parents are going to have to work. Not just the man, but both parents are going to have to work now. So you won't be able to instill any kind of values or anything into your children. You're going to spend less and less and less time with their children. And you're going to give more and more and more of your child over to either the state or daycare centers, or let's start a bunch of programs in school where your kid's always at school and we're teaching them everything that they need to know. Oh yeah, and by the way, they're not going to have enough time to discipline their kids because guess what? They're going to be so tired, the parents, when they come home from work, working all the time, that they're going to be so tired and they're going to give the kids these little devices. They can just kind of do whatever they want to. They're out of my hair. I got to rest. I got to get to sleep. I've got to come home and cook dinner. Oh yeah, by the way, you don't have enough time to cook dinner anymore. So guess what? We have this whole section for you over in the grocery store called the frozen food section. It's really quick. The stuff may be poison, but guess what? You get something to eat and it's quick. Yeah, and Debbie V57 and some of the parents are working more than one job. Listen, guys, I'm getting somewhere with this, okay? Just keep following me. So now that the kids are either at home all the time by themselves or they're not, they're out with their friends all the time or whatever, because us as parents, we're not home and keeping them educated about everything that's going on, holding them accountable, helping them with school. They're not doing homework anymore. They're getting on TikTok and they're seeing all this foolishness going on all over the place. Hey, let's go to Walmart. Let's see if we can get into a fight and get viral on TikTok. Because I see it all the time. It must be okay. It must be okay. Let's go do it. Let's go eat some Tide Pods That sounds cool. Maybe we can get some more clicks. Yeah, Mental Health said, that's why I call this generation the microwave generation, instant gratification. This generation is so dopamine dependent. They need those constant dopamine hits over and over and over all day long. That's why they don't have an attention span. That's why they can't research anymore. They can't even sit down. Oh my gosh, guys. YouTube and stuff have just come out with this new option of a summary for a podcast, because people can't even sit through a podcast anymore and learn things because they're not getting any dopamine hits from it. Education doesn't give you a dopamine hit. Are you seeing how all this is tying together? You take God out of it too. And we can't witness to our children. We can't go to church because on Sundays, we're so tired. Even if you don't want to go to church and you don't like that kind of thing, you can't even sit down and read the Bible with your kids anymore because you're so dang tired because you just got home from your second job. So you hand your kid over. What do? 3 years old? Let's give them a tablet so they can go watch YouTube and Blippi and, all this stupid, crazy foolishness. Let's go watch Miss Rachel. She's got a gay girlfriend or whatever. I don't know. Okay. I've just seen little clips in here and there and things like that. I know a lot of you mothers out there probably like that stuff. Oh, it's wholesome. But they always throw in this something in there that kind of lets your kids know that, hey, this person's kind of weird a little bit. They might be gay or whatever. So it's okay, though. Because, look, this is a wholesome show. So that's why you're seeing these kind of things, like these takeovers and kids being completely out of control at school because they're getting no direction at home from their parents at all. Or guess what? They're a single family. There is no father in the picture, or there is no mother in the picture. The family unit was set up by God for a reason. We each have our roles that we play. When you remove one piece of that from the family unit, it all comes crumbling down. And you start getting the degradation of our humanity. Satan starts winning. That's why you're seeing all this madness. Awakened Outlaw says he's legit telling you what's going to happen before it happens.
No, I'm not. Look, we've been ripped off for years, and we're not going to be ripped off anymore. No, I'm not going to bend at all on aluminum or steel or cars. We're not going to bend. We've been ripped off as a country for many, many years. We've been subjected to costs that we shouldn't be subjected to. In the case of Canada, we're spending $200 billion a year to subsidize Canada. I love Canada. I love the people of Canada. I have many friends in Canada. The great one, Wayne Gretzky, the great. Hey, how good is Wayne Gretzky? He's the great one. But we have, I know many people from Canada that are good friends of mine. But, the United States can't subsidize a country for $200 billion a year. We don't need their cars. We don't need their energy. We don't need their lumber. We don't need anything that they give. We do it because we want to be helpful. But it comes a point when you just can't do that. You have to run your own country. And to be honest with you, Canada only works as a state. We don't need anything they have. As a state, it would be one of the great states anywhere. This would be the most incredible country visually. If you look at a map, they drew an artificial line right through it between Canada and the U.S. Just a straight artificial line. Somebody did it a long time ago, many, many decades ago, and makes no sense. It's so perfect as a great and cherished state. Keeping "O Canada," the national anthem. I love it. I think it's great. Keep it. But it'll be for the state, one of our greatest states, maybe our greatest state. But why should we subsidize another country for $200 billion? It costs us $200 billion a year. And again, we don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We have more than they do. We don't need anything. We don't need their cars. I'd much rather make the cars here. And there's not a thing that we need. Now, there'll be a little disruption, but it won't be very long. But they need us. We really don't need them. And we have to do this. I'm sorry. We have to do this. Yes.
He's telling you. He's been talking about Canada forever. It's going to happen. It is going to happen. Canada will be part of the United States. The man never says anything that has not come true. Hey, Vanessa, good morning to you for checking in over there. Thank you so much in Rumble over there for checking in. Mods, real quick, guys, if you see somebody posting a link in there, yeah, once remove it. But if they keep doing it over and over, just ban them. I'm not going to put up with that kind of stuff. That's in poor taste to come into somebody's chat starting to drop a bunch of links and stuff like that. So we don't do that. So thank you guys for keeping an eye out on the chat. So thank you guys so very much. All right. So I want to play this last video. I want to go back. Let's shift gears back to the spiritual just for a minute. So Seth says, proof we are divinely designed. And let's watch this quick video.
One tiny piece of your brain just pushed science to its limits. What you're looking at is a grain of rice. Now imagine the size of half a grain of rice. 1 cubic millimeter of the human brain. Scientists spent 10 years mapping just that tiny speck. They sliced it into more than 5,000 ultra-thin layers, scanned it for nearly a year, and then used advanced technology to piece it back together. What did they find? 57,000 cells, 150 million synapses or connections between neurons, 1,400 terabytes of data, and all packed into something smaller than a grain of rice. And that's just 1/1,000,000th of your brain. Some rare pairs of neurons had over 50 connections. Some neurons mirrored each other in nearly perfect symmetry. Some structures, never before seen, called axon whorls, look like complex knots. The experts admit there's a massive gap between what we can see and knowing what it does. If you're clinging to the materialistic belief that this evolved over eons of time by unguided forces with no purpose, then you're losing your mind. Instead, it's the result of the master designer, the creator God of the Bible. The human brain isn't just complex, it's intentional. It reflects intelligence and creativity beyond anything we can build. The real question isn't how did the human brain evolve, but rather will we give praise to the creator God who designed it.
Makes you think, huh? You think we really evolved from monkeys? You think we really just evolved from a single cell organism? Yeah, we did evolve, but in our mother's stomach, in our mother's womb. That's how we evolved. Samantha 321 says, hey, if I got in trouble at school, when we got home, we would be in double trouble. Yeah, exactly. My dad said, listen, son, if you get a spanking at school, when you get home, guess what? You're getting another one. You know, that's the kind of stuff we're missing out of society nowadays to keep. There's no fear in these children at all. None at all. And these kids, I would have to say half of them have never even heard the word of God. Yeah, Julie Donut says, they so badly want us to believe God isn't real or alive. Because if they can convince you God is real, then Satan won. If you're not even going to try, Satan won. Hey, Twice Barb, thanks for checking in over there on Rumble. I very much appreciate you. So, guys, we just got some UFO files come out. I've got a couple of hours before Keeping It Real comes on. So here's what I'm going to do. We're going to end it. I'm going to end in prayer real quick. I'm not going to raid over to Steve just yet, because give me about 10-15. Let me get my stream set back up. Let's get Tracing Justice fired up and rolling. And let's go through some of these UFO files and see what we can find that just dropped. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end it in prayer. I'm going to end the stream. So go, if you're in YouTube, Rumble, whatever, give me about 10-15. Let me get my stream set back up, because it is a process doing all that. And we will start digging into some UFO files if everybody is up for it. So guys, thank you so much for joining us today. And guys, don't forget to check out my sponsors. You know, we just had an incredible Tracing Justice with them, incredibly Christian people. And guys, I would not tell you to try something if I wasn't taking it myself and I knew it worked. JusticeShrooms.com to get your body back in balance. And JusticePetClub.com to get your little loved ones back in balance with you. And that's all done by Forest Natural and Pet Club 24/7. So again, JusticeShrooms.com for you and JusticePetClub.com for your little loved ones. So thank you so much, and we're going to end in prayer. Lord, I come to you in Jesus' name. Lord, hallowed be thy name, Lord. Thank you again for giving us another day on this great, incredible earth that you created, Lord, that you created for us to have abundance, to have peace and prosperity on, Lord. And Lord, I thank you. I see our country coming back to you every single day. I see the steps every day that this administration is taking to get us back to you, Lord. Because that is the key, Lord. We cannot restore this nation without you, Lord. This is a fight against good versus evil. When it all boils down to it, that is it. So please help us put on the armor of God, your armor, every day, and have us wield the sword of truth so we could defeat the principalities that run this earth, Lord. And I want to pray for everybody that's in need out there right now, that you just reach your hand down and help them out, Lord. And I want to thank you every day for everybody that you have brought into our lives, Lord, and even everybody that you have removed from our lives, Lord. We thank you for that, because we know that it is in your grand plan for our lives. And we ask you that we humbly come to you, Lord, to give us the courage, the knowledge, the wisdom to carry out what you want us to do, not what we want to do, but what you want us to do, Lord. We want to live the plan that you have put out in front of us, Lord. And I thank you for that. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. So again, guys, yes, I'll see you guys in just a little bit. Give me 10-15. I need to go take a bathroom break. I need to refill my drink. I need to get my screens reset up. I will work as quickly as possible. We will air right up to 11:45, 12-ish, and then we will raid right over into Keeping It Real with Real AF Patriot. So guys, thank you again for joining us on Dawning Justice, and I will see you on Dawning Justice at 8 a.m. Monday morning. But I will see you in about 10-15 here on Tracing Justice. Thank you, my friends. And remember, let's go make fishers of men. Let's go save some souls. And let's go save the Republic. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
You thought you could bury me. Thought the dark would close in. You were wrong. You don't know who I am. And you never will. thought you knew what I stood on, but this ground's been here too long. Stealing the blood, fire and breath. I don't scare easy at talk of death. You don't know the weight I carry or the hand that stands behind me. You can shout, you can lie, try to crucify, but chains you swing and stones you throw only make the pressure grow. We're not backing down, we're holding the line. Truth will be heard in its own time. You can't stop us, we will not fall. Justice is coming, and it's coming for all. You thought you could take me down. You don't know who I am. I don't stand alone. God holds my sword of truth.